Hello there, everyone, and welcome back to Mortis FM, a Star Wars podcast. I am Grayson.
I am Cole. Grayson, what are we doing today, man?
We are doing our long-awaited Star Wars tier list. Now, I'm going to go ahead and preface, this probably isn't going to get done in one part, because I realized as I was making the list of all of the stuff that I think is worth ranking and stuff that we have seen, there is a lot of this, and I don't know, knowing us, I don't know what kind of discourse we're going to get into with all of this and how long this could take. So I'm just going to go ahead and tentatively say this is going to be part one. Now, if by some miraculous turn of events we actually manage to get all of these done in one episode, hey, awesome. Ignore what I just said, but I'm prefacing that right now. But in other regards, you're probably wondering, where have you guys been? It's been since Thanksgiving. Here's the thing, guys. The holiday season can be a very hectic one, and we have definitely felt the effects of that. So I wanted to just say we apologize for not being as consistent in the past couple of weeks, but I also want to give a very heartfelt thank you, because in the meantime, in that couple of weeks, we actually reached 50 subs on YouTube, which to me is a very big deal.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, it's a big deal, in my opinion. And I know to some people that might be like, oh, it's only 50 subs, but like to me, I envision that. And I'd always heard content creators talk about this. To me, that's like 50 of you guys coming into a room and just, while Cole and I are on a stage and we just talk about Star Wars, which is kind of surreal to think about, because I'm like, there are so many people that are out there that you could be using the time listening to us to listen to them instead. So I just want to say thank you so much, and I hope that we bring in more of you guys. And for any of you joining for the very first time, welcome. We hope you enjoy our personalities and the discussion.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Please stay tuned for more.
Please do. And also, in that little meantime, we weren't completely gone. We were on.
No one's ever really gone.
No one's ever really gone. We were on the very first stream of Tales from the Archives. Myself, Cole, Connor and Seth from Beyond the Dune Sea, Tony, Star Wars Sith, and Will at Diamond Figs. We all got together for the first couple chapters of Plagueis. If you missed that one, go back and check it out on literally any one of our channels. I don't care. It was a really good time. And then stay tuned. I believe it's December 29th at 5 p.m. Eastern. We will be covering a lot bigger chunk. So now is your time to catch up to read Darth Plagueis. I've been reading a little bit in the meantime. About halfway to our kind of end point, we're going to be stopping reading through chapter 15. It's real good. It's really good.
It's very good.
Yeah.
If you want to catch up, just follow all of Grayson's directions. Please read it if you haven't read Darth Plagueis. I mean, so far, I'm absolutely floored with it, but that is another topic for another day.
Yep.
I can get all into that.
We are going to get straight into the tier list as we promised. So here's how it's going to run down. I got to preface a few things. I'm going to be honest. Shout out to Connor and Seth again. We are taking basically their entire straight method of doing this from them. Go check out their tier list episode. They did that about, I think I want to say right after Ahsoka wrap, maybe within a couple of weeks of that. And it was really entertaining. So go check theirs out. And we're going to basically do it the exact same way. So for anybody who is only listening on audio, and hopefully if the video component of this is working, if it's not, I apologize sincerely. We don't typically record with like a video format of like a visual. So I'm hoping this is working. If it is, awesome. I'm glad you're looking at it right now. So for anybody who's audio, we have 5 tiers. We have S, which is superb. We have A, which is great. B, good. C, meh. And D, bleh. We intentionally did not do an F tier because here's the thing. At Mortis FM, Cole and I, our saying is, we love Star Wars. I will be bold enough to say that in some capacity, even in the lesser desired projects, I love all of these in one way or another. There is something to enjoy and to be taken and appreciated from every single one of these projects. It's just that maybe it's in the middle of a really muddled project that we don't really like that much. So
there's something good in a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Especially sometimes you have to look for those things when it comes to Star Wars, but as we've mentioned many times, this channel is not meant to thrive off of negativity. It's meant to thrive off of positivity. Will there be some moments with critique? Absolutely. I have quite a few things to say about certain stuff. But we both knew that upon starting this that like F tier is not necessary.
Yeah.
It might be necessary in the future, but it's not necessary right now.
It is not. Yeah. It's like every single one of these projects, even if there's some that I definitely would do way more before others, I would rewatch any of these projects. It's just a matter of how often and how badly I would want to rewatch them on some of these. So, but you got to figure out what those are. So we're going to get into it. 2 more things though. We're going to base this on the rule of averages. That I learned this from Connor and Seth as well. Basically, you got to, if it's like a TV show, you got to, like, if you're thinking of the good stuff, you also got to think about the bad stuff. You got to take that into consideration. So say like you like half of it, but you don't like half of it. That probably tells you that it might be in the middle somewhere. And so there will be things that Cole and I disagree on this. I don't know how much, but I definitely think there will be. And I think it would be completely fine if we present the opportunity to sway one another. And we'll say our pieces. Now, I'm going to say there's probably going to be more stuff than not that we will absolutely agree on or have very minor differences on. There's certain things that I know you and I are just like, we're interlinked. We're on the same page about. So yeah. And then the last thing is that we will be doing this randomly. So I have a random generator thing. I put all the names in there, and I figured it spices up. Again, that's exactly what Connor and Seth did at Beyond the Dune Sea, but we're doing our take on it because they had some weird takes. I'm pointing to you guys. I'm just kidding. I love them, but they had some weird takes that I didn't agree with, and that's okay. That is okay. That's the last thing I mean to say. If there is something on here that we are ripping apart or that we're praising that you love or hate, vice versa, whatever, hey, that is okay. If you hate something that we love, allow us to present the opportunity for maybe you to appreciate it more. Now, if there's something that we and I should retract the word hate, but if there's something that we don't like that you love, do not let our opinions deter you from liking that, okay?
Yeah.
That's all I gotta say.
There's nothing that offers the strongest ego death more than being a part of the Star Wars community. So, just open your minds, as we are also opening our minds here. Yeah. When we initially had the idea for a tier list, we were like, oh, we're just gonna put everything in S tier. But actually coming into this, even though there are some things that I think could or should be S tier, we really have to do a deep dive on the full thing, like what really makes it worthy of the tier that it's in. So we're going to be a lot more in depth about this. So as we are being open-minded, please reciprocate.
I'm already looking at some of these, and I know I'm going to have a hard time putting them in lower tiers if they deserve it. Because there's some that I even if they have flaws, I really love them anyway. So I'm going to try to be not necessarily unbiased, because I think we're obviously going to have our preferences, and that's kind of what makes it fun. But at the same time, we're not going to just be blind to the flaws, right?
Yeah, and honestly, like I'm thinking maybe we should have talked about this before, but like there's going to be a point in time when we put into question what exactly about them are we ranking, and so I'm thinking, are we just going to rank them based on feeling of just like, this is, I just like this, it's literally just liking something on its genuine value, or are we going to talk about its production value, or
we'll get into all the weeds of it. I think
we'll get into it.
We'll feel it out. I think it's going to be kind of all encompassing. With obviously our own personal feelings will be incorporated into the mix, but you got to talk about things like the budget and performances and the plot, which is usually a pretty big thing, and so we'll get into it. There's a lot here. I have no idea what we will be covering. I'm gonna if this is only a part 1, I'm gonna try to make it where we get to at least 8 of these projects. If we don't, I'm sorry. If we do more, hey, awesome. So maybe this first one will be easy breezy, or it'll be very difficult. But are you ready?
What? Hey, Watch out for our tier list episode where we do a tier list of every single Clone Wars episode.
Oh, that would take. I couldn't even fit this all on the screen right now. Like that'd be
so fun.
We could do arcs. We could maybe do arcs. I think that could be more doable, but not
like hand-picked arcs. Like
I was about to say, like, because there's some Clone Wars episodes that are like we're tangent. We'll get to this when we get to Clone Wars, okay?
All right. Well, to answer your question, I am ready.
Perfect. All right. I'm spinning the wheel.
What's the first one?
I'm scared. All right. Oh no. Oh. Okay. All right. Our very first contender.
All right. What's happening?
Is Genndy Tartakovsky's 2003 Clone Wars.
Okay, that's a really interesting start.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and preface this again. I'm leeching off of Beyond the Dune Sea entirely. I'm not trying to be a kiss up, but they just did their coverage of volumes 1 and 2 of Tartakovsky's Clone Wars. Go watch it. And also, if you haven't seen the 03 Clone Wars, go watch it. It's really good. I'll let you go first. Where are you putting this at?
Oof. Okay. My gut instinct says either A or B. I'm teetering between one of those two.
Okay.
You look surprised. I'm curious. Are you thinking it's S tier?
I think it's low S tier.
Low S tier. Okay.
Yeah. So I'll for anybody visually, I'll put low being on the left and high. Actually, I'll probably put low being on the right and high being on the left, so that way it's kind of more noticeable.
Well, I believe the way that the usual tier list paradigm works is the closer to the letter it is, like the higher up on the tier it is. You know.
Perfect.
So like the best one is gonna be top left.
Yep. Okay. Perfect. And that is exactly how I'll do it.
Go it.
Do I need to sway you or do you need to sway me?
I'm personally thinking that you're gonna need to sway me.
Okay.
Because it's not that I immediately disagree. I don't. It's just it's been a very long time since I've seen Tartakovsky's Clone Wars, and I think for you, because especially since you listened to Beyond the Dune Sea's coverage of the 2 volumes. I don't have that, I'm not going to say a recency bias, but I just don't have it in my mind thinking about it. And maybe they could have brought up some fantastic points that I just didn't hear. So the reason why I'm thinking either A or B, I'm teetering on A. So I'm thinking I'm going to say A, but what I recall from Tartakovsky's Clone Wars is, I mean, first of all, excellent character design. I really love the way that it looks. I think that the animation is fantastic, and I just remember it being a lot of, just a lot of fun. I don't really remember it being terribly complex. I just think it is a fun thing to watch. I love what they do for Grievous. Grievous is my favorite villain, and I love what that show does for him. But that's really all I have in mind for it right now. So tell me, Grayson, why low S tier?
So before Beyond the Dune Sea's coverage of 03 Clone Wars, I'll be honest, I probably had it in like middle of A. I've always thought it was really, really good. But after like hearing them go through it, and I've seen 03 Clone Wars quite a few times. It was a big part of my childhood. And as they say on their coverage, it was basically just made to like sell toys. However,
for real, you're right.
It was just big epic battles, but this show, or I guess this series, because it was basically the first volume was increments of 3 minutes, and then volume 2 they bumped it up to 12 minutes. So they're little, just literally. I mean, it was called the Clone Wars micro series.
Yeah.
If you took away the Clone Wars show and movie, this still stands on its own as bridging that gap between 2 and 3 in a really meaningful way. There are moments in here sprinkled with Anakin, especially with him fighting Ventress and his trial of the spirit on, I can't remember the name of the planet, but where he has like the tattoos and stuff. They give amazing foreshadowing to what Anakin will become. And of course, you know, the 08 and the movie do this as well. Maybe not so much the movie, but you know, the TV show does this. But like, it's moments like that, and then seeing Obi-Wan like lead a cavalry of clone troopers against like the battle droids. Like, he's literally on like a speeder bike with like a lance and everything. Like, the ARC troopers. Like, I mean, you really get to see like how good the clones are in this. To me, like, it really is like, in a weird way, it's kind of like if you were using like MCU lingo, it's kind of like Civil War, where like it's like Star Wars 2.5, and it's so snappy and quick, and they're able to tell so much of a story with such little to work with. I mean, this is exponentially shorter than the Clone Wars TV show. So to me, like, I don't know. I might argue that it's probably still like high A. I think it's really, really good. I think it might just be a little bit lower than S tier the more that I think about it. But I think like it could be argued that it is like one of the best of the best. It's a shame that more people don't know about it. But
yeah. So,
I don't know. I think I'm saying high A. I think that's where I'm gonna put it.
I'm comfortable with high A. Like, I was gonna challenge some of your perceptions about putting it in S tier. Mm-hmm. Not that I don't think it's great. I mean, it is really good. Mm-hmm. I mean, technically A tier is great, so it is great.
Yeah.
But I guess I just when we're putting stuff in S tier, I really have to think: does this sit alongside the things that in my mind I'm planning to put in S tier?
Yeah, that's true.
And I also thought about it in a sense of like, how well does it stand up on its own, separate from the rest of the Star Wars series? And so, you know, like there's a lot of factors to put in there, but it is still really great. So I'm comfortable putting it in high A tier.
I think I'm cool with that.
Yeah, and at the same time, I'm gonna just instigate a little rule here. We can change our mind later on if you want.
I would love that. I think that would be
later
great.
On.
Yeah,
at the end, like we could just swap them around.
I was gonna say, I think this would be a really cool way to kind of kickstart maybe some retrospectives.
I think great idea.
Depending on how these go and what we do, you know, maybe like, well, maybe we need to take another look at that. I think it would be really good to kind of provoke a rewatch and to be like, all right, like, after rewatching this, where do we place it now? And there's some of these that I've seen so many times that like I don't need to do a rewatch, but I think there are some things on this list, and I think this is a prime example of maybe we need to go back and give that another lens just to really kind of cement whether that's going to stay in that spot or if is it going to rise, is it going to fall? So yeah, 03 Clone Wars is going in high A tier. Let me modify this. 03 Clone Wars. We're gonna put this. We're gonna put this right here temporarily.
Yeah, it's gonna get even more complicated the more that we go on, because we're gonna have to decide like, okay, well, is this better than this on this tier, or is it worse?
Yeah, I won't try to get into that too much, but if it comes down to it, we can modify it a bit.
It's gonna bother me, so we're gonna have to figure it out. I won't make it too much of a big deal, but
okay. All right.
Big deal in the Resistance.
We're rolling again.
Okay. What do we got?
Spin that wheel. Ooh, baby. We have the Phantom Menace.
Oh, good. Okay.
I think we're going to have a pretty common answer on this. Since you went first last time, I'll go first this time. I also think this is high A tier Star Wars. And I mean that not even just like biased. I think objectively, I do not and I never will understand the complaints and the hatred for this movie. I think it is a blast. I wish I was old enough. I mean, I wish I was born by the time this came out so that I could be there for like the triumphant return of the Star Wars trilogy. And I think The Phantom Menace does so much, new stuff with Star Wars while also just planting those seeds for the inevitable original trilogy. And I think that really, obviously it's succeeded by 2 other films that kind of help bridge that gap. But like The Phantom Menace is arguably one of my favorite time periods. I mean, we're reading Darth Plagueis, which is within about half a century of The Phantom Menace. I think it's about 65 years before. I think that is such a phenomenal time period to explore. And The Phantom Menace is like, it's the shot that started it, and I love The Phantom Menace, man. I think it's so entertaining.
Whenever I talk about The Phantom Menace, I always need to mention to people that it is my comfort movie. When I'm sick or when I'm down, I'm watching The Phantom Menace on that TV right there. It has happened multiple times in the past year. It always just manages to ground me. Now, I have heard and understand like a lot of Phantom Menace's complaints, but I think that this could cause some controversy. But I think a lot of the complaints about the Phantom Menace and the prequels, and I'll say even the sequels in general, is a lot of it stems from what people think Star Wars is. It's always that preconception of Star Wars is this, or it's not that. And I think people got a little too caught up in like being upset over the political disputes, when in actuality, when you take a look back at it, at the very least for me, I love watching Game of Thrones, but I love watching Game of Thrones for the political scenes because it is so incredibly interesting. I love every scene in the Senate with like just in the prequels. And I just, every time I watch The Phantom Menace, I'm flabbergasted because I just don't understand. It's really hard for me to understand how people think that it is a bad movie.
It's so cool, dude. I know people like roast it for like the opening crawl being like, the trade disputes, blah blah blah. Like, yes, it sounds boring, like from that level. But like as a kid, I loved this movie. As an adult, I have an even further appreciation for this movie because, like, dude, the political stuff is really good. And people fail to forget that like George Lucas's inspiration for the original trilogy was directly correlated to not things in history that were heavily political, but also what was happening in the world at that time. That was, that was during the Cold War and Vietnam War and an era with a lot of political unrest. Star Wars was really inspired by a lot of that. And I think The Phantom Menace really embraces like, the political turmoil and seeds. Like Palpatine, that's honestly, this is probably a weird take, but that's one of my favorite movies with Palpatine in it. I love seeing.
He's so good.
It's so good, dude, because it's like he's not the Chancellor yet. He's only a senator, the senator of Naboo, and then we get to see like the inner workings of how he manipulates this whole plan with the Trade Federation and Naboo and Queen Amidala.
The devil on the shoulder,
It's so good, dude. Like literally when he whispers into like, to Queen Amidala's ear to like the vote of no confidence, like that stuff is so good in my opinion. And
and the acting, the performances there, God, Ian McDiarmid just kills it as Palpatine every single time.
Amazing characters across the board. I love Liam Neeson as Qui-Gon. Come on, it's Qui-Gon Jinn. We get to see Ewan McGregor for the first time as Obi-Wan Kenobi, to get to see a young Obi-Wan, and it's so cool to see. We get to see the Jedi, like full-fledged Jedi, like this is when they are actually present in the galaxy. This was unheard of at that time when Star Wars stories were coming out. Jake Lloyd as Anakin Skywalker, I love him.
He's just a sweet kid.
He's great. And the pod race, dude. One of my favorite scenes, like sequences in Star Wars ever.
That's one out of the two things that people cannot deny out of the Phantom Menace that is great, which is one, the pod race, and two, Duel of the Fates, which I mean should never be overlooked.
Yeah,
there's a part of me that wants to say that it is the quintessential lightsaber fight. But
I think it could be argued. If someone were to tell me that is the best lightsaber fight, I would be like, that is completely valid. That is a valid take right there.
Yeah, I wouldn't be upset. I would go like, I mean, I have a personal favorite. It's not Duel of the Fates, but I don't feel inclined to disagree, you know?
Yeah.
So, but there's something in the back of my mind. I don't know. I feel there's something that makes me feel like we might end up changing our minds when we go along, because like we love the Phantom Menace, right?
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason, a lot of people don't. I think for us, it is. I mean, it's definitely a lot of nostalgia. We love it for a lot of nostalgic reasons, and so real quick before we put it down. Let's try to deconstruct it a little bit just as a film. Is there any parts of it that maybe makes it fall a little bit short? Something that kind of fell flat, namely when we go behind the scenes and it's that classic scene of George saying, I may have gone too far in a few places. What made it fall so flat in audiences?
I mean, but the thing is at the time it didn't. You can go back and watch interviews during the Phantom Menace. Like I remember for some reason there is an interview with Shaquille O'Neal where he's like, "This is an amazing movie. Like it's spectacular. The visual effects are incredible." Like people.
Got Shaq talking about Phantom Menace.
Yeah. Put the clip right there. Not really in the episode. Maybe I'll just post that clip on our social. But like to me, here's the thing: is I remember when it got to a point when I was, probably becoming a teenager that I was like, oh, people don't like the Phantom Menace. People hate that movie. Like that is like a very popular take. And I remember being like, the main thing was Jar Jar, right? Jar Jar was the big complaint. Oh, and Jake Lloyd, he's annoying as Anakin or whatever. As a kid, I never felt that. So as an adult, I was like, I don't feel that. But then it got to a point where I think I hit like 16 or 17 and I was like, you know what? I'm going to watch these movies with a really critical lens. I'm going to see if I'm just being stupid. And I watched it and I was like, this was the one movie that I like where the hatred was so strong for it. And I was like, I just don't see it, man. Like, I really don't. Like, I'm trying to, and I don't. I don't think it is none of these projects are perfect. To be honest, on a good day, I'd put this in low S tier. I really would. I think it is so quintessentially Star Wars. But I'm not gonna be foolish. I know that there are things that people don't like. I think if I had to critique one thing and one thing only is just that not like in Duel of the Fates or in any of the lightsaber fights, but the choreography against the CG battle droids can look a little goofy at times. Like, because you can tell that there wasn't really any direction. They were just like, just swing around and like kick stuff. But to be honest, they still made it work. So I really can't knock it too much. Yeah,
I think for, just with the complaints that are coming to mind for me, and like, keep in mind, as my gut instinct, was for us to put it in A, and, it's my comfort movie. I love this movie, but I feel very compelled to look at everything with the fairest lens possible. So I'm trying to deconstruct it a little bit. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking like, okay, so for me and for, what I believe audiences, like what made it not work? I think people didn't like the political stuff because at the time, in terms of a movie, like a Star Wars movie, people were expecting that. So it became a little bit hard to follow. Mm-hmm. A lot of people say that it's boring. I don't really get that. I just think people are kind of... Well. Yeah, I just think it's people are kind of impatient. But I guess there are some things that I could do without. Like, I feel like what is that? It's like when they're in the Naboo starfighters going up against the Lucre Hulk. It's a cool scene, but I guess it was one of those things that I didn't really feel. It doesn't even feel fair to say that it's not relevant to the plot, because it is, but I felt like it was trying to spark that trench run feeling, and it never really got that for me.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I can see, to me, it's one of those things, the classic, like, it echoes, like, you know, it's like poetry, it rhymes,
like
but I never once it was like, oh, it's just trying to be the trench run again, you know, like, it's just showing that, like, the pod race, and that is, like, Anakin is a very gifted pilot, and he's very gifted in the Force naturally, like, because I mean, we talked about it in Tales from the Archives and many other things. Like, the door is very open to Anakin Skywalker. In fact, probably to anybody else, to any person in the galaxy, the door is like, it is just pouring like a river, like, in terms of like his access to the Force. And so, like, I think that to me was kind of the point, but I really think, like, the Phantom Menace has just become more appreciated to me because of, like, you know, that interview with Dave Filoni where he's talking about the impact of Duel of the Fates and how Qui-Gon is kind of like the father that he needed, but then, you know, that is the killing blow on Qui-Gon is the first strike that leads Anakin towards the path of the dark side, because he is taking this father role from him. That sort of stuff right there, where I was like, dude, George Lucas was cooking. Like, I was, and we didn't realize it, to me. And so that was what really, like, you know, I think maybe even before that interview, I would have been like, the Phantom Menace is maybe like high B tier. But to me, I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, I think I could put it, like, on our current list right now. I'd put it, you know, like right below 03 Clone Wars. Like, I think 03 Clone Wars is a little bit more coherent as like a Star Wars story and what it's trying to do. But, like, to be honest, like the Phantom Menace for me, like, on a number scale is like an 8.5, 9 out of 10 for me. So
okay.
So
yeah, I mean, I don't get me wrong. Like, I absolutely love the Phantom Menace. So I'm not trying to make it seem like I don't. I guess I'm just like.
And don't feel like you have to unnecessarily, like, you know, compromise your virtues and your beliefs because other people are like, yo, well, people are like Phantom Menace. Like, to me, I'm like, this is me and you, baby, right here. Like, this. Yeah. And so I was like, yeah, like, we can acknowledge, like, if someone would come up to me and like, oh yeah, like, I don't like Jar Jar, like, that's a big thing for me. Like, I find him annoying. I'm sorry. Like, I love
Jar Jar.
I love Jar Jar, and I was a kid, and I get that. If you find him annoying, like, I'm sorry, to me, Jar Jar serves the role of, like, he's kind of like the 3PO from the original trilogy, where he's kind of a bumbling idiot. He's clumsy. He's, like, you know, and obviously 3PO is in the Phantom Menace, but not nearly as much as Jar Jar. You know, so I don't know. I'm going A. That's me.
I want to say, like, I really want to say high, like super high, right on the cusp, high B tier. But I can't help but feel like I'm gonna change my mind. But for whatever reason, like, and here, like, B tier is good, you know, like, that's good.
But I have some things that I already know that I'm gonna put in B tier that I know I like less than the Phantom Menace. So
okay, so I'd be willing to compromise with low A tier for now.
Okay. I'm gonna put it a notch, like, skip a space and a notch over. I'll just show you right here for audiences listening. Clone Wars 03 is in, like, it is the runner up to first place in A tier, if that's how you want to put it. I'm gonna put this 2 spaces behind it, so it would be in 4th place in A tier, if that makes sense.
All right. Yeah.
So. Gotta be careful that I don't accidentally click in recording. All right, the Phantom Menace. Pardon my. That is not what I wanted to pick up. Sorry, guys. We're gonna put Phantom Menace right here. Also, pardon if you hear my dog barking. He is loud. Okay. All right. Next up.
Okay. I honestly didn't think we'd had that much conversation about Phantom Menace, but it's good.
You're being too critical, Cole.
Hey, we have to approach this fairly, I think.
I know, and I am. Oh, Cole, I'm going to get you... oh, God, I'm going to get riled up about this one.
All right. What's going on here?
Solo, a Star Wars story.
Oh, Solo. Okay. All right.
I'm gonna put just right off the cuff. No explanation for me. I'm putting Solo in. I'll put it underneath the Phantom Menace, but I'm putting it in low A. That's a compromise for me. I love Solo, but there are things that I will be putting in. I will be arguing to put in the good tier that I think Solo is far better at. I think Solo is a blast. I think it's super entertaining. I think the performances are great. I think it does so much for Han. Yes, there's some things in there that are shoehorned that I don't totally like. Like it's like the ticking of the boxes where he gets the blaster, he gets Chewie, he gets the ship, blah blah blah. Like it's all the different things, right? But I think Solo is a really fun kind of space western kind of vibe. I think Alden Ehrenreich is really good as Han Solo. I really like how it delves into Han's character, and it personally made me appreciate Han so much more already from the original trilogy. So I'm putting Solo low A. Like I'll put it at like bottom A.
If you didn't have to compromise, where would you put it?
I'd put it. I mean, I'd put it a little bit higher in A, but like to me, I'm like the only compromise I will take is I'll put it at the highest of B, like high B. That's the lowest I'll go.
Okay, so
here's why I'll say that, because I know there was directorial changes. It was supposed to be something else, and it wasn't. It came out at a bad time. But here's the thing: I'm not taking into consideration the budget or when it came out. That was not the movie's fault. I think everybody who was creating this movie did a great job. That's all just corporate decision-making stuff. Yeah. And I think people already have kind of a sour taste in their mouth from Solo because it came out right after The Last Jedi, which most people don't like. We'll get to that movie later. So I think I've seen a lot of people really appreciate Solo. It's not like main Star Wars, but to me, Solo, I would say, is probably more comparable to a comfort movie for me, where like, I love this movie, man. I think the way it's shot is so cool. I really like the color tones. It is the closest to like a criminal underworld smuggler movie. I mean, that is what it is, yeah. So
it's very
low A, high B.
It's very consistent with itself just throughout. It's just the entire movie is very consistent. I really love the pacing in that movie. I really love the cinematography in there. I did the opening. It's good. I do like it.
Will you put it in high B for me?
Oh well. I mean I was thinking high B. I wasn't gonna put it any lower than that, like, because I think it's good. I think it's very good.
We like it.
Yeah. The only thing, again, I'm just being tentative about putting stuff in great and superb because I really have to go like yes, like we're putting it right there. I have a feeling we're gonna move some stuff around at the end of the tier list.
I'm okay with that if we make some small adjustments.
Yeah, and I'm gonna be honest. It's really weird for me to say, but I think Solo as a movie works more than Episode 1.
I don't think that's weird to say.
And so, well, I mean, I guess it's weird for me because I want to put...
It stands alone. It stands solo.
Well, I don't know. Like, I just think... And don't get me wrong, I love Episode 1, but sometimes Episode 1 feels a little awkward. Whereas Solo, it just all of this just works. So yeah, I guess right now, like my actual tier list, I'm gonna put it like highest of B, and I don't think anything's gonna trump it in B.
We'll see. Yeah, I think for now, yeah. All right,
because it's good. It's good.
I think we could maybe at the end of this, or the end of the whole tier list or whatever, maybe we could bump it up to low A. But I know that's a hot take. I know a lot of people don't really like Solo that much, but I like Solo a lot. So, okay, I'm putting it in high B, right there, baby.
I just want to watch Solo now.
It's great, dude. Think about the time, dude. That movie has inspired our friendship so much as well.
It has.
We saw that movie twice in theaters within the same weekend. Do you remember that?
It was a good time.
It was a good time. All right. Spinning the wheel. Oh, dude, it's a wrap, bro. This is so easy. Revenge of the Sith.
It's an S tier.
S tier. It's S tier.
Sorry, everybody. Revenge of the Sith, no holds barred. It's an S tier.
It is. I'm already putting it there. I'm gonna put it. I'm gonna put it right here because we might have something else to put ahead of. Oh, that's Attack of the Clones. I'm sorry. Whoopsies. Got a little too ahead of myself. Bam.
You think it'd be easier if we just put all of them just at the top and then we sort them as we put them into the tier? Because I think that could make for an interesting conversation. Oh, come on.
Dude, I gotta sit here the whole episode and do this. Maybe next time. For now, we're keeping them down here.
Oh, no. I mean, like, I'm not saying put them all up on the tier. I'm saying, like, we're putting Revenge of the Sith on S tier. Why don't we just put it at the top and not say
gotcha.
And then like the next time we put
move all of these at the bottom to the top, and I was like, why would we do that?
No, that's literally nonsense. No, I'm just saying
okay.
It would make for conversation. So like the next thing we put in S tier, we're like, okay, was it better or worse than Revenge of the Sith?
You want to go and do this for A tier as well? Move these over.
Yeah, okay. We're going to do that.
Okay. Quick words on Revenge of the Sith. It is. I'm taking the like. It's a masterpiece, dude.
It's got General Grievous in it.
Yeah, that's it. See you guys. No, it is literally like modern Greek mythology, man. It's so good. It's so entertaining. It does so much in one movie. The visual effects hold up incredibly. Again, also one of the best lightsaber battles of all time, with Anakin versus Obi-Wan. It's the dude. I could make a heavy argument. This movie has the best singular Star Wars score out of any of the movies.
Oh yeah, I 100% agree with you.
It's
every track is a banger, and that's not to say that the others are not. It's just it's so iconic for me, and I know it is for you too. Oh man, it's just such a good.
Good, man.
It's a modern Shakespearean tragedy. As I said in a past episode, if Revenge of the Sith, word for word, the script was written by Shakespeare, people would call it a masterpiece.
Yeah,
I know that they would. It is such an influential movie. Like 2005 was like the best time to be a Star Wars fan.
Oh yeah,
like one of them anyway. I mean, yeah. That is easy.
Yeah,
Revenge of the Superb.
Easy money. Yeah, there's
easy money.
There's nothing that we're gonna say that is any different than anyone else says. I will say I have heard some critiques of this movie that people are like, and it's prequel haters, but they're like, oh, the dialogue is really bad in this movie, and I'm just kind of like. I could see it. The only time I could see the dialogue being bad is the discourse between Obi-Wan and Anakin on Mustafar right before their fight. That is the only. I think that's the only time that I could be like, the dialogue could be a little bit better. That is my only critique.
Yeah, and if that is the only critique, that doesn't warrant like losing an entire grade in a tier.
No.
So yeah, we keeping it on S.
Perfect. Perfect. I knew that was gonna. That was one I was like, we're wasting no time on this one, buddy.
Yeah. I don't know what we're doing here. We're wasting our time.
All right, we still have a lot on this list. I'm rolling again. Roll it again.
Oh, it should be Rise of Skywalker.
It's not. It's one that you and I both like a lot, I think. But it is Star Wars Visions.
Hey, okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting because with the shows, we have to take every season into consideration.
Yep, and all the episodes.
All right. So
I think I'd put Visions. Most of Visions I really like. I think season 2, like there's no bad episodes in season 2. There's just one that I wasn't really a fan of. Season 2 was chock filled with just absolute banger content. Season 1,
yeah,
as well. season 1 has a couple more iffier episodes that I was like, meh, like, a little bit more C tier on, but the show is not C tier in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, even the ones in season 1 that didn't resonate with me, it's hard to say that they were bad. I can not enjoy something or something not resonate with me, but I can also still admit, okay, well that was good still. It's just it wasn't my thing. So yeah, so I don't. For me, I'm gonna say Vision's high A. I'm gonna say. Would you put it underneath Gindy's or above it? Right now, my gut tells me to put it above Gindy's. The only reason why. Okay, that's fair. The only reason why I'm saying above is because I really love what Visions does for Star Wars as a whole. I think Star Wars is really great when it approaches new perspectives and just looks at the galaxy in a different way. And it is just so original and unique, and it's just revitalizing to what Star Wars is as an idea that I just really appreciate it.
Visions is honestly the big spark for me that was like, you know what? I'm going back and reading Legends stories. I don't care. Because that's what Visions is. They're not supposed to be canon. Now, you can, I'd say a lot of them, there's not a whole lot that just straight up contradict canon. There's a few that you're kind of like, what? But like The Duel, the one with the Ronin, one of my favorite episodes. That one, phenomenal episode. The animation is insane.
The Ninth
Jedi. Dude, Ninth Jedi with Margrave, bro. Like so good. And is it Juro? Or is it cool?
Yeah, Juro.
Yeah. Dude, so cool. And then you've got The Elder in season 1 is a phenomenal episode that I really, really like. And season 2, I'm forgetting a lot of the names of the episodes, but what was the one that you mentioned? Screecher's Reach?
Screecher's Reach, yeah.
That one was straight out of like a Sith folklore, dude.
That one shocked me. I mean, like, I remember you and I, because we watched the season together, you and I were just like, wow. Oh, okay. Wow. Listen, man, I feel pretty confident keeping it at high A above Gindy's just because I think it is so inspirational. And I love what it does. So what were we going to say?
The only reason I think it goes below Gindy's Clone Wars is, and I'd argue I could put it over with Phantom Menace, but is just because the Gindy's Clone Wars is so consistent, and it also is one of those things that where it feels like one big Visions episode where I'm like, you can just kind of watch it on its own, and I know it's setting up things, but to me, like, it feels kind of like this big space battle epic that has a lot of these really cool character moments. I think Visions has some episodes that are just kind of like, okay, that was like the one about like the robot, like Toby or whatever. I was like, I don't dislike that episode, but I was just kind of like, okay, like, we got to, again, rule of averages. Like, you got to average the things out, or I'm like, there's a lot of great stuff, but there's a few of those episodes that I'm kind of just like, it bogs it down just a little bit, you know?
The one that specifically didn't resonate with me was, I think it was like the second episode of season 1, where it's like, it's like they're forming a band to play for Jabba the Hutt.
Yeah, that's another one of those where I'm just kind of like...
The problem with that is that it was fresh off the heels of watching Ronin episode 1,
which is just incredible.
It's just tonally different that you're like, okay, but like, I mean, I think that's what makes Vision so special. But
maybe one day this wouldn't be hard to do. Maybe in a retrospective, we go back and we watch all the Visions episodes and we do a tier list of Visions episodes. That would be really fun.
Hey, I'd be down for that. At this current time, I'm willing to compromise putting it below Gindy's just because I'm thinking about Grievous kidnapping the Chancellor, and I'm just like, oh yeah,
dude. Think about when he's fighting all of the Jedi and he's like smashing clones' faces into the ground, dude.
Yeah, and then all of the scenes with Fordo and the ARC troopers. Yeah, no, we're
Dirge,
good.
man.
Dirge. Oh, all right. Yeah, we'll put it below Gindy's for now.
I've done my job. That was also my Dirge laugh. Oh, Vision. This is the season 1 poster, but that's all I could find on the internet. Sorry about
that's
it.
Fine.
Okay. Rolling. Rolling my D20. Just kidding. Oh God.
What do we got?
This is gonna be a long discussion, buddy.
Okay.
Last Jedi.
All right. Well, everyone, thank you for tuning into part 1. We will be back with part 2, specifically talking about The Last Jedi.
This might be the final one we talk on this episode. We'll see how long it runs.
All right.
I mean, you and I think very similarly about this movie, I think. Mm-hmm. It's just, it can be hard to talk about sometimes.
It feels like trauma. like we're talking about trauma. Oh, it's hard to talk about.
Just before you say anything, gut instinct, where do you want to put The Last Jedi?
Oh, gut instinct. I'm gonna say low B.
Low B. That's way higher than I thought you would put it.
Well, I've told you a couple of times that like I've slowly started to come around. Yeah. I'm gonna say. Man, I was about to say high C, but the low B. That's where I'm at.
I put it mid C.
Mid C.
Here's the thing. Okay. I don't dislike The Last Jedi. In fact, standing on its own, it's probably my favorite out of the sequel. I don't know. That's
interesting.
That's hard to say. Visually, it's a masterpiece. Like, I think it's beautiful, and I think it does a lot of really cool things. Specifically, the Rey and Kylo stuff is like why I watched that movie. I've rewatched The Last Jedi quite a few times. It's basically everything else outside of that movie that's not going on with Rey, Kylo, and Luke and Snoke that I just don't like. So it makes it literally like a 50-50 split. And also, the damage that movie does to what comes before it with The Force Awakens and what the damage it does after with The Rise of Skywalker, which I know that's a Rise of Skywalker issue. We'll get to that later. But like, it was smack dab in the middle of a new trilogy that it was trying to do all these new things. I think it would be received way better if either Rian Johnson had done the seven, like either had done all three, honestly. I think he would have been a phenomenal director for all three, but maybe not a writer. It's just like, you're coming off The Force Awakens, and we will get to that movie as well. And it's like, it does. This is the problem with like the sequels itself, is it goes from The Force Awakens, which it's trying to do this thing, and then The Last Jedi is like, no, we're gonna do this thing. And then The Rise of Skywalker is like, no, we're going back to our thing, and we're going to have to clean up the mess that you did, you know? And it's the lack of coherency. I know that's not specifically The Last Jedi's fault, but it is a large portion, I would say, of Rian Johnson's fault. Because there are some things, I have heard, I know this, there are things that Rian Johnson specifically asked J.J. Abrams to do with the end of The Force Awakens so it would not impact his movie. Which I know is like not like that's movie making, but also like there was things like I think they and then there's things that like he quickly throws out the door in The Last Jedi, like Luke, you know, throwing the lightsaber and immediately switches into his robes.
Yeah,
and it just stuff like that, and I'm like, listen, I want
the entire Canto Bight sequence.
Dude, I'm sorry, I don't like watching it. It's
separating Finn and Poe throughout the entire movie, which was a terrible idea.
What were they doing with that?
All right.
I think the highest I'd go is high C for me.
So for me, like, yeah, I mean, you've definitely swayed my opinion. I'm not trying to be negative. Yeah, no. I never thought that I'd tell you that you have convinced me to like something in Star Wars less. But. So I'm gonna say this: the stuff that, I mean, it's no surprise people have been saying it since the day it came out. The Last of Jedi. The Last Jedi is an extremely polarizing movie. What it does well, it does extremely well. Mm-hmm. What it does poorly, it crashes and burns and makes like a embarrassing fart sound when it hits the ground, and
the reverb fart meme sound where it's like
that's quite literally how it works. So I think that since it is so tumultuous and just kind of all over the place. I'm not gonna blame Rian Johnson. I really think that, you know, if
it's more corporate Disney's fault than it is Rian Johnson's fault.
Well, if they didn't want him to mess with the narrative that they had, they wouldn't have let it happen, right? So it was more indicative of a lack of control of the IP than for anything else. I mean, if anything, I'm more mad that Rise of Skywalker didn't roll with the punches instead of, you know, trying to patch it all up, but we'll get to that. So I just think The Last Jedi is a signal. I think it's the red flag of the sequel trilogy, because then you know, oh no, something's going wrong. So yeah, but since it has really good parts, I'm gonna say high C is where I'm at right now.
Okay, we'll put it in high C. I can cope with that. I mean that's completely fine to me. And there's some days, I'll be honest, I went through a really big phase in 2020 where I was like, man, I really like The Last Jedi. Because I'm a big Kylo Ren guy, or at least Ben Solo, and that is my favorite interpretation of Kylo Ren is The Last Jedi. That's the one thing that I'm like, dude, the Kylo Ren content in The Last Jedi, phenomenal.
Him at the end of the movie, like, I wanted to see more of that.
Yeah. But it's just like, it is the awkward middle child, you know? Like, it's just, and it sucks. It sucks like that because the thing is like, again, if you like The Last Jedi, I'm not knocking you for that, man. I'm happy for you, because I wish I liked it more. It bothers me what it does in the midst of that trilogy.
It's just, it takes me back to just the time when we saw it in the theater, and I just remember how upset we all were, especially your dad.
Yeah, my dad was not happy.
Yep. That's where we're at right now.
Yep, The Last Jedi. Well, that was shorter than I thought. We agreed pretty close. So, and I want to end this on a high note. So, like on something
we'll see. It depends on what comes up next.
Hey, we'll keep going. Surprisingly, we're only about like 40-ish minutes in this episode right now. So,
I'd say we're making a good time.
We're making good time. We're being snappy with it. Okay. Show me the money. Spin the wheel. Oh my God. Okay.
Is it Rise of Skywalker?
No, it's the inverse. Force Awakens.
All right.
Yeah, you lead the charge here.
I'm gonna say B. Low B, maybe.
Surprisingly, I am completely okay with that.
Yeah, like, The Force Awakens. I'm just gonna keep it brief since we both agree. The Force Awakens is probably second to Avengers Endgame, my favorite theater experience, because I went there the night of.
Mm-hmm. Same.
And everyone was just so excited, and I remember being absolutely pumped watching the intro to that movie. I was so pumped. And even though it is it's like poetry, it rhymes, because a lot of it is just, it's like, hey, you remember A New Hope? I still think that what it does pretty well. I really love the characters that are introduced. I think Rey and Finn are a lot of fun to follow in that movie.
Oh yeah.
I think my biggest complaint in terms of the characters is that, once again, good old Poe is underused. He's probably the most used in that movie.
Yeah.
And
he was supposed to die in that movie.
Yeah, and yet somehow, like, he was. I mean, they were trying to make him. They were trying to make him like the next part of the trio, and yet somehow he was basically separated from them through the whole movie.
Yeah.
But it's fun. I'd say it's good. So low B tier.
I have and I think I'm a little bit biased right now, which I think is a good thing, because I think sometimes I'm really harsh with this movie. I rewatched it earlier this year, but it is Christmas season right now. It is approximately 8 years since this movie released, which is insane.
Why?
Like you, I watched it. My dad and I watched it twice opening night. We saw it once at like 7 or 8 o'clock, and we saw it again at like 12:30, I think. Mm-hmm. We immediately got tickets and got again, and it was great. Now, we were so tired afterwards, but we saw it twice in one night. So I gotta agree with you there. What I think the thing that bothered, like, if I had to, the things that I don't like about this movie, honestly, the main thing that bothers me with this movie is actually, again, kind of The Last Jedi's fault, is the way the map to Skywalker makes no sense.
It's a very strange, is the word MacGuffin? It's a very strange MacGuffin that and you pointed this out to me, like, the map doesn't make any sense. Like, it's easy to solve that problem.
Yeah.
So
to me, it's a thing of like, why the only fix. I mean, first of all, you got to think about the map. Like, first of all, actually, I can cope with like Luke didn't leave the map. It was, say it was like they tracked his X-Wing's astro chart or something, and then it like fizzled out or whatever, and they lost. And so they could do some explaining there or whatever. But yeah, like, one half of the map is the entire galactic map with a chunk missing from it.
Yeah.
And then they were like, but we need R2 to get the other half, and he's been sleeping. He's sleep. And I'm like,
he been woo.
And I was like, well, the piece that you got is like, you can just use the rest of the galaxy map to just figure that out. Like, you have maps laying around of the galaxy, right? Like, you can at least figure out in what cluster of the galaxy this is in and kind of get a general idea. But instead, it's like, and I'm trying to remember, I don't remember if BB-8, I think has the small chunk of the map, and R2 has the big chunk of the map. But I'm like, you don't need R2's, because you can literally, like, they're like, oh yeah, he flew here and we lost him. Like, you can just plop that here. I'm blanking a little bit, but trust me, if you watch it, it's bothersome. It's weird.
It's just odd. If they had made the simple change of it being that he left coordinates, that would have solved everything. Because listen, I understand a galaxy is a lot more massive than we understand. Like, the human mind can only comprehend so much size.
Yeah.
And so the Star Wars galaxy is massive, but the way that it's presented of like Lego pieces or like a puzzle fitting together, I think that's odd. Like, now if Luke had given Lor San Tekka coordinates,
or like, even if he just flew off, they were like, oh, he flew off here in the unknown regions, we don't know where he went after that. Like, and so something has the rest of this flight chart to get to this planet, but we can't get it without that, but like, even the idea of it, like, being with BB-8 versus R2, like, why did they have that? I don't understand. Like, if Luke went by himself, did he also, like, be like, all right, R2, go fly off into space? Like,
all right, R2, here's half of the map in case you need to find me. I'm not going to tell you who has the other half. It has to be for a very specific reason that you need me to come back. Also, I need you to go to sleep until they find the other part.
Also, when they find me,
anybody.
You'll find out I actually didn't want to be found in the first place. So why would I leave this map anyway? It's just weird. It
highlights just my biggest problem with the sequel trilogy, which we're gonna talk about this in the retrospective.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna say this once. It just highlights one of my biggest issues with the sequel trilogy, which is I don't think that they wrote this new era well.
No.
The way that this era is constructed bothers me. Mm-hmm. And that's really all I have to say. We can go into it later. So, but as a movie, it's fun, it's good. I think it's Star Wars. It's just a little weird, so I'm gonna put it at low B. Yeah. And we'll leave it at that.
It's a fun time. Like, the things that I like in this movie, I really like, and the things that I don't like, they don't keep me up at night, except that darn map. But
I mean, if I was to watch a sequel trilogy movie, it would be The Force Awakens.
It's a fun time, man. And in fact, I've been really wanting to rewatch it lately because of like the season, Also, the soundtrack for that movie is also really good. March of the Resistance and Rey's theme, Jedi Steps and finale, Kylo's theme, dude, all really good, man. Also, the seeds that movie plants for the future was just so exciting. Like,
Yeah, it was the unknown that you were like, oh man, what's gonna happen here? And I mean, yeah, you could argue, well, it's J.J. Abrams' mystery box, and Rian Johnson opened up the box and threw it into a wood chipper, but it's still fun, it's mysterious, it's cool, and it sparked a bunch of theories that were really fun to be a part of. Like, was Snoke that youngling kid, which was so stupid, but
the theories are crazy. Was he Mace Windu? Was he Ezra? Was he Plagueis? Was he a clone of Plagueis? Was he a clone of Palpatine, which kind of ended up being true? Was he one of the guys from Rogue One? It was a whole bunch.
Was
of
he
stuff.
Mace Windu? I remember seeing someone say he was Mace Windu, which was like, why?
Did I not just say that?
Oh.
I think anyway. I don't know. I'm actually forgetting if I did. Yeah,
I don't think you did, but my memory is worse than yours, so I'm gonna put my money on you.
I'm anxious about this next roll, so I'm not thinking straight. But
what do we got?
Okay. This might be a good spot to end on.
Okay.
And I think it's a good discussion too. I think we'll get a good kick out of this one. The Mandalorian, seasons 1 through 3.
Okay. Man, if it was season 1,
this is tough.
Yeah. If it were season 1, I feel like it would be easier. But honestly, if it was seasons 1 and 2, it would be easier.
I was about to say, here's the thing: we got to think seasons 1 and 2, really good seasons. Really fun, seasons of television, and just really great Star Wars content, in my opinion.
Yeah, very, very exciting to watch every week. Season 3 lowers the bar, I would say.
Yeah, and that's not to say that season 3 is bad. You and I just didn't fancy it too much. It's the weakest link of the trilogy of seasons per se. Here's what I'll say. With seasons 1 and 2, I think if I was just incorporating those, I would put it in A. I think I'd put Mandalorian in A tier, incorporating those. And I'd put it probably like middle A, probably above, or at least currently where we have it at, somewhere around, I'd put it above Phantom Menace, maybe below or above Vision, somewhere there. With season 3 added on, I think I have to put it in low B, but I'm putting it above The Force Awakens.
I'm all right with that.
Yeah.
I had to think about it. I'm all right with that. Yeah, I think that works.
Because here's the thing. Season 3 of The Mandalorian still has some really good moments, and it doesn't ruin the show for me. I was just kind of like, didn't like that season that much as the other two.
Yeah, I'm not... It's hard for me to actively say season 3 of Mando was bad, because, I mean, it's not.
It's not.
It's just weird. Like, there were parts that made me feel like it was a different show.
Yeah.
And so I just think it's kind of forgetting its core tenets of like what Mando was supposed to be, or at least what Mando presented itself as. So yeah, well let's say like mid B right now.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. And a lot of that is also affected by a show that we will speak about later.
Yeah, and I mean, like season 4, or I think they're reportedly saying it's going to be a movie.
Yeah, weird.
That could be a really cool turnaround. And if it is, I'd be willing to change my mind, bump it back up. But
and I'll incorporate the movie into the culmination of the Mandalorian, whatever they decide to do.
Yeah.
That was quicker. I want to do more. We got more. Give me more.
More.
I actually thought we were gonna maybe go lower on that, but I'm actually happy where we put that one at.
No, we were thinking the same, pretty much.
Let me give a quick recap to everybody who might be listening to strictly audio, because we do have people that do that. So I'm gonna go down the list. Currently, we have the only thing in S tier is Revenge of the Sith. In A tier, we have in the highest slot 03 Clone Wars, followed by Star Wars Visions, followed by Episode 1 The Phantom Menace. And then moving on to B tier, in the highest slot, we have Solo, A Star Wars Story. And then we have The Mandalorian, seasons 1 through 3. And then we have The Force Awakens. And then in C tier, this is the last slot we have currently filled, we have The Last Jedi. That's what we've got so far. I'm having fun. This is a fun time.
I'm feeling pretty confident in our rankings right now.
We still have a lot to go. But okay. Let's see what we get.
Big money.
Fresh off the heels, we have Ahsoka.
Okay.
This is tricky for me, man. This is really tricky.
Dude, I could have so easily placed this show, but then I think the last 2 episodes.
Yeah.
Before
the last 2 episodes, where would you have put the show? I'm curious.
Before the last 2 episodes, I feel pressed to put it in either low S or high A.
I would have put it in probably high to mid A, I think. With the last 2 episodes and the culmination of it, I think I have to put it right below Mando.
Ooh, so we're putting it in B. Dang, those 2 episodes really lowered it.
And I will say, I don't know, lately, and I remember you felt this similar to another show we'll talk about when it came out as time progressed. I think I've been a little bit down on Ahsoka lately. I really like the show, but a lot of people have been critiquing it a lot, and it kind of makes me feel like I am in the wrong for enjoying it. But that's not why. The thing is the points they present are fair. It does do a lot of just convenient things, and it does a lot of telling and not showing. And it has some weird quirks about it. I wouldn't put it in S. I don't know. I think maybe I'm being too harsh and I'm being influenced by people too much. But I think the lightsaber fights are really good. I think the story being told is really good. I love all the characters a lot. I think the only thing that really determines whether it goes higher or lower is if we inevitably get a season 2, because I think if we get a season 2, I think that actually might bump it up a little bit. Because if it's just this, I put it a little bit lower down just because of the Balin plot thread and stuff is still a little bit unanswered, which is good. I like that, but it definitely, those last 2 episodes were not the triumphant finale. It definitely felt oh, there's more story to this,
Yeah, I'm not gonna say it felt flat.
No,
but the last 2 episodes were just kind of awkward. A lot of the story beats there just really fell short for me. But dude, episodes 1 through 4 and 5, I think.
5,
I mean,
dude.
Whew, that
and
was
6 with them getting to Peridia and Thrawn and everything.
That was all really good.
Oh man, okay,
honestly,
you're right. I'm not incorporating the law of averages here. And I also got to think when we watched it, when we started this show with Ahsoka. We finished the show and we were we really like this.
Yeah. So maybe it's recency bias. I feel pressed to say low A right now. I'm gonna put it. I want to put it underneath Phantom Menace.
Here's the thing. I don't know, man. This is some bias here.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can put it above Solo. That's my conundrum. Yeah. I feel like Solo is a more coherent and consistent and just overall quality. I don't know, man. This is tough. This is really tough.
It doesn't... Yeah.
But, I also... The thing... I'm torn because I'm I don't know how I could put it below Solo. Because I really like it, so...
I think that... I think that, the stuff that's really good in Ahsoka is...
Some of the best Star Wars.
Yeah, and so... Even... I love Solo, but I don't find myself going this is some of the best Star Wars when I'm watching it. I'm just this is a fun time. And so maybe we could put it at the highest in B tier.
I don't know.
Hey, I'd be open to compromise if you want to put it below Solo right now.
No, I don't think it deserves. I think it should go above Solo. I really think it. The question is just whether should it go in high B or low A. Should it go?
Okay.
Either way, it is in between the Phantom Menace and A and Solo and B. I just don't know whether to put it in B or A.
So let's deconstruct it. So I think most of the season, 85% of the season in Ahsoka, is very, very good Star Wars. Mm-hmm. So does that last percentage does that last 15% make it fall flat? Does that bring it down to B? Because personally, I feel like that bad, kind of weird stuff is kind of similar to the Phantom Menace, where it keeps it from being S. But it's wonkier than Phantom Menace, so that's why I want it to be like lowest of A for now.
I'm okay with that. I think I'm okay with that.
Okay. So, and we can obviously change it later.
Yeah. Let's do that. I'm cool with Ahsoka in low A, and I think episode 1 is. I think it's just objectively better than Ahsoka, but I still think Ahsoka is a really good addition to Star Wars. Great, as actually we're putting it right there. So, yeah, I can live with that.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay. This next one, I'm just gonna say it, and I want you to just start it off. I feel like I'm talking a lot, so I want you to just lead the charge in this one.
Oh man, I think we're talking.
Oh,
pretty even.
Well, it's very befitting that this is the one, and that you're probably thinking of two answers right here.
What's going on?
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Oh,
go ahead and lead us off there, Cole.
Dude, I feel like. I feel like such a bad person when I talk about Obi-Wan Kenobi. Because I don't know, it's like it makes me hurt when I talk about it. It makes me feel like I've been slighted by someone I cared about. But it's not bad. It's not really all that great.
Off the cuff, I'm thinking either lowest of B, or I can't put it in the same tier as The Last Jedi, man. Like, there's no
so wrong to put it in the same one as Last Jedi, but
here's the thing: what holds the show back really is some of the weird character decisions, the 6-episode format, and the budget. I think those are really the main 3 things that just make the experience weird.
Well, here's the thing. Like, if we're thinking about these projects holistically, I don't feel confident putting Kenobi in the good tier, because when I think about it, I don't think, oh, that was good. I think it's kind of like, yeah, it's all right. It's because C isn't bad. It's just meh.
Yeah.
Because don't get me wrong.
Should we have put Last Jedi lower?
we can definitely move it. We can definitely move it.
No, I don't want to treat Last Jedi that harshly, because there's a lot of things I like in that movie. But Kenobi is quintessentially meh.
Yeah, here's the thing. Like, these tiers, we have them be high and low for a reason. Like, for instance, Solo at high B tier, and Force Awakens at low B tier. Very different to me. But they're on the same tier, So for me, I think Last Jedi is low C tier, and I think Kenobi is the highest of C tier. And that really bothers me. It really bothers me to say, because I wanted to love Kenobi so much. And the thing is, it's like The Last Jedi, where the things that it does well, it does so well. It does it so well that I am in love with it. But if I'm thinking about the project from a holistic sense, the entirety of the show is just it doesn't hold up the good stuff. The final duel between Obi-Wan and Vader is really cool. Vader facing off against Reva, really cool. The first, I would say maybe the first 2 episodes were engaging and fun, and some of the stuff that they implemented was cool. But the show as a whole reminded me of just, they made this into a show when it could have been a movie.
Yeah.
And it felt so stretched out, and it was.
It should have been a movie.
Yeah, so much of it was unnecessary. That it should have been specifically focused on the 2 characters, Obi-Wan and Vader, or just Obi-Wan alone. Yeah. Give me, I'm saying a lot, but give me a story about Obi-Wan that's solely focused on Tatooine, of him fighting off Tuskens or getting deep in the criminal underbelly. Don't have him leave Tatooine. And there's some stuff that just bothers me. And so I'm putting it in personally high C tier.
Okay.
Like, it's not bad, but it's just, you know.
I don't have any strong feelings about the show, and I think I feel right there with you. I think I might like it slightly better than you, but it's not enough to warrant putting it in B because I don't think it's worth that for me.
It feels so stupid of me to say, but like, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
That is I mean, yeah. All right, let's just put it above Last Jedi. I'll put a little gap. I'm sorry. We'll just to separate.
What if you just put Last Jedi all the way at the far right?
Just over. We'll put it right there. All right. I'm spinning the wheel again. We've got about almost halfway through our list, so let's see. Oh, okay. This might surprise you, my take on this one. Tales of the Jedi.
Okay. Throw it out. Hit me with it.
Smack dab in the middle of B. Here's the thing. The Dooku stuff is 10 out of 10 Star Wars.
I was going to say it's the Ahsoka episodes, isn't it?
The Ahsoka episodes are not bad. They are not bad.
Yeah.
They just don't really do anything for me. The one of her as a baby, I'm like, that's probably the most original one, but again, it's like, okay, it just kind of feels like an Ahsoka origin story that I didn't really need. The one with her and the Inquisitor is just a watered down version of the Ahsoka book. And then the episode with her, probably the most interesting episode is the one with her training with Anakin and the clones. But here's the thing with that episode. I don't dislike the episode, but it just feels like a Dave Filoni being like, oh, what if we did this? You know, like to show like, oh, Anakin was actually training her this whole time. To me, it would have hit different if we had seen that actually in the Clone Wars versus seeing it in a piece of media that came out after Clone Wars Season 7, because then it just kind of feels like, oh, let's throw in a little thing in there because it's like, you know, to show why she was able to do this. Like, why can't it just be either we saw that in the Clone Wars or Ahsoka is so that good at this point in the timeline that like that was just how I always took it, as I was like, oh, she was trained as a soldier, you know?
Yeah, when she fought off all those clones in, you know, the 501st in the ship, and like, you know, deflecting all those bolts and like spinning around. That entire episode in Tales of the Jedi was meant to explain that moment. Yeah. But the thing is, like, I believed it from the beginning. I mean, I even as a kid, I loved Ahsoka. I never had problems with her. But like, even now as an adult, I think Ahsoka is great. And so I was never like, what, she's not supposed to be that powerful, you know? I never had to deal, you know, big deal with that. I thought it was neat. The Ahsoka episodes in Tales of the Jedi are not bad. They're just not necessary. That's it. It's not bad. It's good fiction, but it's not necessary.
I really think Tales of the Jedi would be probably S tier if it was just a different character doing different things, you know?
Yeah, what bothers me so much is that the Dooku episodes, like if Tales of the Jedi was just those 3 Dooku episodes, it would be an S tier.
Yeah. And completely agreed.
And those other 3 episodes like bring it down.
Yeah.
So
I could be willing to put it in like low A, but I'm like, you know, thinking of the average of the two. And again, it's like, I guess it would be more applicable to put it in B if the other 3 episodes were just bad. They're not bad. They're just kind of meh. So it's like, really, you're looking at somewhere either at the end of A, like the bottom of A, or the high tier of B, because I could go either way. I don't have any strong feelings on whether it's good or like, you know.
I'm thinking it needs to be in B because the problem is we're averaging it out, thinking of it in a holistic sense. That's half of the show. So
it is.
You know,
only 6 episodes.
50% of it is, you know, not necessary. So I'd say B tier. I think what we need to decide is where.
I honestly, I think I would be fine putting it above Solo just because the Dooku episodes are that good. And the Ahsoka episodes, again, are not bad. Like, they're just not really super necessary. So I mean, as a Solo fanboy, I could put Tales of the Jedi in high B.
Yeah, because honestly, it would be hypocritical if we put it below, because Solo as a movie is unnecessary. I love that movie, but Solo as a movie is unnecessary.
Yeah, it's true.
Okay, yeah, we can. Okay, high B tier,
top of B. Cool.
Top B tier, baby. I'm fine with that.
Get on over Force Awakens. Get on over Mandalorian. Get on over Solo. Tales of the Jedi, wherever the heck it's at, there it is.
Solo shaking with rage as it's dethroned from top B.
It's okay. You're right there, sport. Okay, cool.
Man, I feel so bad for putting Kenobi in C tier. Connor's gonna hate us. But
it's okay. He knows doesn't have the popular opinion there. All right, rolling the wheel, baby. Okay, another one that kind of gives the same vein to me. This is the Bad Batch.
Oh, yeah.
I would argue again, same thing.
Yeah,
I'd put it in like the smack dab middle of B. Actually, I think I would put Bad Batch. I don't know. To me, it's really just somewhere in the midst of Solo and Mando. I think it's underneath Tales of the Jedi. I don't know. Go ahead.
Man, why can't we just stay consistent with our shows, guys?
I know. And here's the thing: you and I like the stuff that we like, the good stuff in Bad Batch, and I'd say there's probably to me it feels like there's more good stuff than bad.
Yeah.
And again, there's not really bad stuff in Bad Batch. There's just kind of stuff that's unnecessary and like whatever.
Well, it's a reminder that we have these fantastic stories that are getting stretched out because the studios want the episodic format. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
And they just don't have that story to tell, so they have to find less interesting, the villain of the week, episodic kind of things to throw in there.
Yeah.
In this episode, Tech breaks his leg, and we have to talk about that. It's not.
Yeah.
No, that didn't actually happen, but it's just an example. So, Bad Batch. Dude, Bad Batch episode 1 is like over an hour long, and it is one of the best like animated Star Wars. It's so good. And the finale of season 1 was really cool. The finale of season 2 was super cool.
Season 2
all
is
of the
a lot
crosshair
of really
episodes, the crosshair episodes in season 2, S tier. Oof. And honestly, I'm gonna say even the unnecessary, kind of fillerish episodes of season 2, they were still good. I don't remember there being a bad one. I mean, I think there was a couple times when I was like, didn't really have to say that, I remember this meme when Bad Batch season 2 was going on, of like, it's that meme format where there's like 3 guys sitting on a couch, and in one instance they look bored, and then the other one they look all excited and stuff. Yeah, and one of them said, and the top one, when they're all bored, it said it's a Bad Batch episode, and then at the bottom it said it's a Crosshair episode.
Yeah, yep.
So yeah, oof. I'm gonna say. So in the case of Tales of the Jedi, 50% of it is fantastic, 50% of it is good but unnecessary. For Bad Batch, again, thinking holistically, I'd say like 25% of it is fantastic, and the rest is like good, but I don't know. I mean, maybe I'd say like maybe
I think it's a little bit
30,
of
maybe like 40, 60.
I was about to say, I think 40% of it is like incredible, and I think like 60 to 65% of it is just kind of, again, not bad, just like,
Yeah, and so personally, I feel like we should put it underneath Tales of the Jedi.
Above Solo, though? That feels like a stretch to me. I wouldn't even put it above Mandalorian. I'd put it in between Mandalorian and The Force Awakens.
I'm okay with that. Yeah, I'm okay with that.
I think that just makes sense. I'm also looking at this right now, and at this rate, what we have left, I don't know if there is. Well, actually, there might be one thing. I don't know if there's anything we will be putting in D tier, but I think there's one thing. We'll get to it.
I know exactly what that
is. Okay, let's move the Bad Batch to in between Mando and The Force Awakens.
Move on over, Force Awakens.
Force Awakens, like, give me a break. All right. Let's see here.
Roll that wheel. Spin that wheel.
This is horrendous. This is the worst day of my life.
Okay.
This probably will be the last thing we talk about. The Rise of Skywalker.
Oh, for God's sake. Oh, man.
Let me just simmer and look at this list real quick.
Oh, man. Oh.
Okay.
What a movie.
I'm already making. I think. Before I even say my thing, it is. You should note that I like Rise of Skywalker better than Cole does. I will say probably not by that much, but there are things in this movie that I definitely appreciate a lot. And to be honest, when it came out, I was like, this is my favorite sequel because it is the most entertaining of the three to me. And it does some of the coolest and most unique stuff. That being said, it does a lot of really stupid stuff. Like,
it's very dumb.
The main thing, the main two things that I find are just so stupid. Making Rey a Palpatine and not making her nobody is probably the number one crime. And then just Palpatine's unexplained appearance into the galaxy. I don't have a problem with Palpatine coming back. I have a problem that it just happens and they say it in one line, somehow Palpatine returned. That is it. That is the only explanation. And that is bad writing. That is bad.
There's just so many plot contrivances in Rise of Skywalker that it really bothers me. For some reason, well, actually, I know exactly the reason. It's because it's stupid. Namely, the knife that's shaped to look like the wreckage of the Death Star in order to point to where the throne room is.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
I remember when that happened, I was like, that's so cool. And then I remember thinking about it and I was like, that's kind of stupid. Like, that doesn't make sense. If it was an ancient temple, if it was an ancient Sith temple or something on Exegol, that makes sense. That'd be fine. It's on a wreckage of a Death Star that, like, in an ocean that is changing constantly.
Yeah.
Like,
and it's not like it's a religious source. So who made that knife and why? It's the same Luke Skywalker map thing. There's just this MacGuffin, you know?
Yeah. You're right.
And I don't know why they do this. Just make your plot more interesting, please.
Yeah.
It's riddled with stupidity and damage control and just why are you doing this? And it really bothers me because, I mean, that movie actually has some really cool stuff in it.
Dude, yeah. Exegol, the Dyad, the Sith Wayfinder, all of that stuff is like really cool Sith lore stuff. And again, we're reading Plagueis. There is so much stuff that I'm reading in Plagueis that I'm like, oh my god, dude, this makes so much sense and lays so much of the groundwork for why Palpatine would want to come back. I really like this, but again, they don't tell you why, and they backtrack on a bunch of stuff. The one thing that they backtrack on that I don't really consider a backtrack, I just think it's super ham-fisted, is when Luke comes out of the wreckage as a ghost and catches the lightsaber. I like that moment, but it's when he says, that's no way to treat a Jedi's weapon. That's like, that feels like literally like a direct acknowledgement of what happens in The Last Jedi, where I'm like, again, Luke has an arc in The Last Jedi, so it makes sense for him to be like, he's more proud of his Jedi heritage. That doesn't bother me, but it's like the actual like mentioning of the line, Kylo repairing his helmet for no good reason, like Rey being a Palpatine because she has to be somebody now.
Rey
like,
not being a nobody. Snoke's dead. Well, it doesn't matter. Palpatine's alive. It's just, it bothers me so much. I mean, like even that specific scene that you had mentioned, if Luke had simply caught the lightsaber, and the camera just rested on his face,
Yeah.
Even if he just said like, better with that.
What are you doing? Just
it just feels like a middle finger to Rian Johnson, and
it does.
And I mean, like most of the movie feels like a middle finger to that, and it also shows corporate weakness because it is a direct response to people being upset over creative decisions, and so they backtrack over those things. They're like, well, okay, we'll fix it all. We'll have Star Wars be exactly the way that you want it, so that you'll love it and you'll keep watching it and you'll keep buying. It bothers me, and I want to put it in D tier so much right now, but I would understand if you want to put it in low C.
Here's my thing is that I know there is some stupid stuff in this movie. Like, there really is. But there is a part of me that cannot help when I put this movie on that I enjoy it. It's like a guilty pleasure to me. And I don't know why.
And it's the Spider-Man 3 of Star Wars movies.
Wow, that's offensive to Spider-Man 3.
Yeah, honestly, that's throwing shade on Spider-Man 3.
Yeah, but like,
comparatively.
There's just the things that I like in Rise of Skywalker, I like think are really cool, but then there's just like a lot of stuff. Like it feels like 30% of the stuff I really like, and like 70% of the stuff I'm like, that's just dumb. Like, that's just silly and dumb.
It bothers me.
I think The Last Jedi like is a better film. Rise of Skywalker does cooler things in Star Wars for me. That is the toss-up that I'm having. I really put Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker, like, literally they are interchangeable to me. But like, well, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I don't want to, sway you on that. It's just,
I don't know myself, Colt.
Oh, yeah.
The one thing I will say, and I'm gonna say this on the air.
Okay.
Quit crying about Rey being a Skywalker. The Rey Skywalker thing is dope, and you're being a stupid, dumb little baby.
For people not watching the video, he's not talking to me. He's just talking about the general populace.
And I'm sorry, I don't mean to be. I backtrack. You're not a dumb, stupid little baby. Like, unless you're just really like, you just won't hear any other thing about it. I do have a case in point about the Rey Skywalker thing. This is one of the things in the movie that I actually really like. Cole used to not like this. I remember we were sitting at a Cracker Barrel in Florida. We were talking about it, and you didn't like it either. And I remember when it first happened, I was kind of like, I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah.
The more that I thought about it, the more it makes sense. I will go ahead and preface. Rey is not an incredibly written character. Now, I don't think she's a bad written character. I think she has a lot of untapped potential, and I'm very excited for her movie.
Mm-hmm.
Rey,
I forgot about the movie. I'm excited for that too.
I'm excited, man. Rey, I think, is literally the only candidate in the timeline at that point that is worthy of being called a Skywalker. Yeah. Keep in mind, because Skywalker is a legendary name. It is a name that inspires hope throughout the galaxy, whether it was Anakin in the Clone Wars or Luke Skywalker in the Rebellion, or the lineage of Leia and her son. And even Han Solo, he's an honorary Skywalker in my book, although he's not, blood Skywalker. He married into that family.
He married in, but he's still there.
Rey was taken under the wing by Han, and is the new owner of the Falcon, which I have never had a problem with. I actually really like, because her and Chewie, I think, are adorable. And then yes, Luke did very briefly and begrudgingly train her, but he did, and he came around on his mistakes. He did. The whole discussion with Yoda is a testament to that.
Yeah.
Not about how he failed Ben, but how he failed Rey and stuff like that. So, And so he tried to make a little bit of changes there. The most important point, and something that I really, really like, shout out to Will, because I know you crave Jedi Leia content, but Rey was trained by Leia, and I love that. I think that's so cool, because we don't know how long Leia trained as a Jedi, but I mean, you can assume through what she's a Skywalker. She's got the floodgates of the Force open to her, and so whatever little training she had, but she was the preferred candidate to be, to face Vader and the Emperor, right?
Yeah.
With all that being said, and actually the last thing is that she redeems Ben Solo, the last Skywalker in the bloodline. She brings him back, and I love that. There are no Skywalkers left in the galaxy. The comfort, like Luke and Leia's Force Ghost appearing there on Tatooine at the Lars homestead as she buries the lightsabers, is literally them giving their blessing that, like, you're not a Palpatine. You're a Skywalker. Like, your lineage does not define you. And that's the one thing that I like about the Palpatine thing, is to be like, hey, I know I prefer her being a nobody. I think that would have been better, but
I think it could have served the same message.
Yeah, it's like the Skywalkers were nobody, dude. Anakin came from literally a backwater planet, desert planet, where he was a slave. Like, he was nobody, But either way, it shows that, like, she rose into that role. And yes, she is not a bloodline Skywalker, but she earned that. And if Luke and Leia can give that, and I know, yes, it is a writer that wrote in that Luke and Leia gave the blessing to Rey more or less. To me, it still works, and I still really like that moment.
She brought peace to the Skywalker family.
Mm-hmm. She finished Palpatine finally, once and for all.
Yeah, she finished Palpatine. She helped bring Ben back. She was the one to seek out Luke. She brought Han back to his family. I mean, she's the connecting tissue there.
Yeah.
If anyone, I think that was it was. I was quick to come to terms with that. I think that's cool. And don't get me wrong, like, I think there's a lot of things about Rise of Skywalker that I don't like, but there are some stuff. There's stuff in there that I'm like, man, that's good Star Wars. So I'm not putting it in D tier. Personally, I think it's lower than Last Jedi for me.
Sure.
But yeah, it's
Okay, I'm cool with that. I'm fine with that. I know I have my guilty pleasure does not count as it being an actual quality film, and I acknowledge the flaws. That's the thing about being critical about these things, is I acknowledge the flaws. So we're gonna put this right here. Bam. Let's get one last in. We're wrapping it up here. We've been going on for a while. We still have we still have about 10 projects left to do. Let's do one last project. I think all of these should have pretty short discussions. I don't think there's anything that will go on too long. So let's do one last one, and then we'll get to our little card, our chat.
Roll that wheel, sir.
Well, okay, maybe I was wrong. Well, I don't know. Maybe I have stronger feelings about this than you do. That is the 2008 Clone Wars movie.
Oh.
This movie, in my opinion, gets way more hate than it deserves. I don't think it's a masterpiece. I don't think it's great. I think it's good. I think it's a fun Star Wars adventure, and I think very fondly of it. It has some goofy moments, but what Star Wars story doesn't have goofy moments, or at least classic Star Wars?
Yeah.
I think I'd put it. The thing is the heights of the Clone Wars movie do not reach the heights of something like Bad Batch.
Yeah. Would you say it reaches the heights of Force Awakens, though?
I don't know. I don't know. It's not meh. It's not meh in my opinion. I think it's good.
It's not meh. It's just personally, I think it's probably going to be low B.
Yeah. Do you think it goes above Force Awakens or below Force Awakens?
I'm only going to say below Force Awakens because I haven't seen the Clone Wars movie in a very long time.
Okay.
And I
watched it really recently, like within the past couple of months. Yeah. I'll be honest, I think the Clone Wars movie stays a lot more consistent. It is a lot more consistent as a movie, even though it's just bits and pieces of episodes chopped up. Yeah. That being said, it does have some weird little,
is there anything that makes it special though? Because like Force Awakens, it's got Rey's theme and the fight in the snow and like those cool. Force Awakens has some pretty big dubs.
Yeah, but then the 2008 movie is the introduction to Ahsoka, and the introduction to the Clone Wars as a whole, and Rex, some really cool action set pieces in there as well.
I don't know, man. It's just like it's good. It's just for me, I don't think of anything as being particularly special about it.
The first appearance of Ahsoka's
great, but I think she really grows into her character as the Clone Wars series goes on. I think she gets a lot better as a character as it continues.
Yeah, I agree with you absolutely, but it's like that movie is the direct reason why her character works throughout the Clone Wars and through Rebels and then into Ahsoka. The parallels there set up. And I know that's not like the cause for it to be like, just immediately better, but like there's a lot that movie does that I don't think people quite give it credit for. It's whatever. I'll put it below Force Awakens. I think I'm fine with that. I think The Force Awakens does have more like pinnacle moments.
Yeah, and I still see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I guess I just
I think Force Awakens has higher highs. I do think it has lower lows, but not like drastically lower lows,
Yeah, the Clone Wars movie, as far as I remember, doesn't really get low. It's very consistent. I'll give it that.
It's a steady cruise.
Yeah. In terms of consistency, I don't know. How does it stand for you as a film?
It would be better if it was if it was just part of the show, which is what it was supposed to be. That's why I'm internally the gears are whirring here, and I'm kind of like, no, I probably should just go low B.
Yeah, I think low B is just safe for that.
It just kind of feels like the starter arc of the Clone Wars,
Yeah,
and like a weird.
I guess I feel like it. From a perspective of Phantom Menace is the starter arc of the prequels, but Revenge of the Sith is where it's at. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna put it below Force Awakens. I think there's no need to dally. I'm not that passionate about it.
I wonder if B tier will be the most populated by the time we're done with this. No, I think it's probably gonna be A. A is probably going to be the most populated by the time we're done with this tier. We'll see.
Do you want to do one more? I feel like the Clone Wars movie is kind of a weird place to end off on.
Well, here's the thing: you're going to spin that wheel, and it's going to come up as Book of Boba Fett, and I think.
But that'll be at least entertaining to talk about.
Yeah, but for this episode, we've had a lot of entertaining discussions, and I think. Looking at what we have left, I think that's a really good balance for the next part.
Okay.
Personally.
All right. And we still have the chat pack card. So
still have the chat pack. I'm so excited for the chat pack. I love all the chat pack cards.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and move all of these over to one little spot over here. Let me go ahead and give everyone a recap. We are finishing part 1 off here. Let's go through one last time before we get into the chat pack. In S tier, the lone survivor of S tier is Revenge of the Sith. Followed by A tier. At the top, we have 03 Clone Wars, followed by Star Wars Visions, then The Phantom Menace, and then Ahsoka. At the top of B tier, we have Tales of the Jedi, followed by Solo: A Star Wars Story, continuing with Mandalorian, then Bad Batch, then The Force Awakens, and then the Clone Wars movie that came out in 2008. And then in C tier at the top, we have Obi-Wan Kenobi, followed by a space, and then The Last Jedi, and then Rise of Skywalker.
Followed by Comfortable Space, and then The Last Jedi.
Comfortable Space. That's a good way to put it. And D tier, we have currently nothing. It is,
but don't you worry, there's gonna be something in there.
One thing.
It's probably going to be one thing on its own.
Yeah. I can't. I don't have. Yeah. Anyway, that's gonna do it for our tier list. At least for the first part, we will be back as soon as we can. I know, again, we haven't been super consistent, but we will be back as soon as we can to do the rest of the tier list. What are your thoughts thus far? Yeah. Please leave us comments and engage with us. I'm sure we probably have some spicy takes in there that people may have strong feelings about. Who knows?
At what point did you stop watching the episode? Also, thanks for coming back.
Was it when Grayson called anyone who says the Rey Skywalker thing is that if you're mad about that, you're stupid? Was it that? Because I'm sorry, it was a joke.
Was it the moment that we put episode 1 into A tier? Sorry, don't care, but thanks.
Was it when we put Star Wars? When we put Star Wars.
Man, we're probably gonna get some heat for putting Last Jedi in C tier. There's gonna be some people out there that were like,
man, who cares?
Whatever, man.
Sue me. I have an opinion. All right, I'm getting the chat pack.
I'm so excited for this. I've been waiting for my entire life to listen to what this card is.
Your entire life, this specific one. Here we go.
Was it bad?
Now, this is the specific card that you've been waiting on your entire life?
Yeah, for sure.
What is your favorite Grogu moment?
Oh my god. Come on.
I'm not kidding.
Okay, well, hey, we got to roll with the pack.
Yeah, man.
My favorite.
That's what Wolf says.
Yeah, you're right. I hate putting this into words. My favorite Grogu moment is I would say it's at the end of season 2 when Luke takes him away. Bye.
Takes him into captivity.
No.
When we don't see him ever again.
Yeah, when social services comes to pick him up because of how much he's been in danger. No, I just think in specific, like, that moment in season 2 was just really poignant for me, and the score and, man, Mando taking off his helmet to look at him, that was just so, it was just so personal, and I just really love, I love that scene. It's a good thing that it doesn't get completely undone in the following season. Actually, in a show in between seasons, it's a really good thing that doesn't happen. But yeah.
Yeah, that's a great moment. That is a great moment. Mine is the Mudhorn. I think that is the defining Mando Grogu moment when you first, at this point you've been introduced to Grogu, but then you see that Grogu is force sensitive and is strong enough to hold up an entire Mudhorn to save Mando. To me, that's like the connective moment that really like formulates down the line of them becoming, this inseparable father and son duo.
Yeah.
And the soundtrack in that moment, I listened. That is one from the Mando score that Ludwig did that I absolutely love because the Mudhorn theme is really cool. It's like very like electronic and tribal, but then it goes into like when Grogu is holding the Mudhorn in place, and Mando is like never seen something like this before. Like he's like, and his armor is just the crap is beaten out of it and it's broken or whatever, and he's covered in mud or whatever, and he's like he is just awestruck. I remember that moment. I was like, that gave me hard chills when I saw that moment. I was like, that was good. So that's probably my moment. Or maybe when he just he eats his little macaroons, you know.
I miss Mando seasons 1 and 2. I really hope that we can kind of return to form.
Get back to that, dude.
Yeah, I just think it'd be better.
Remember in season 2, dude? And this is not a Grogu moment. This is one of my favorite Din moments when he literally like bursts out of the crate dragon and like lands epically.
Oh
with, like,
yeah,
his
yeah.
rifle. I remember being like, "Let's freaking go!" Dude, that season 2 premiere was insane. That was so good.
When Boba gets his armor back in season 2.
Oh my god, rises up and just absolutely decimates the stormtroopers, man. Dude, Mando season 1 and 2, I mean, those were 3 and 4 years ago now. Absolutely phenomenal moments to be a Star Wars fan.
Yeah. It was just such an exciting time because we have to do a Mandalorian retrospective.
Retrospective?
Yeah, but...
So, I'll say, since we've got our Grogu moments, and that was a very underwhelming card, even though it led us to a cool discussion. It always does. Out of these that we have gone through, what are the things that you think we should, like, and I'm asking you, but I'm also asking you, the audience, what do you think we should do retrospectives on?
I mean, honestly, I think it'd be great if we did retrospectives on everything. But
of course, eventually, yeah.
As to answer, like, what first? Well, I think we still need to do our Ahsoka retrospective because we've now had some time to think about the show.
Yeah.
And so it's good. I think it'd be good to have a retrospective episode on that. I think that your idea on just going through all of the Visions episodes, maybe putting them into a tier list would be really good. I really want to tackle Solo retrospective. I want to talk about Solo.
I think the things that I'm seeing on our tier list thus far that I think would be great. You've already mentioned Ahsoka and Visions and Solo. I think going through the Mandalorian would be really good. Maybe like one season at a time. Because I haven't seen Mando season 1 like front to back in a long time.
It's been a while for me too. Yeah.
That's the thing with Star Wars shows that I notice is it's like the movies I rewatch a ton, but then the shows I like will watch it and then I never rewatch it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of I'm the same with shows in general. Like I don't rewatch shows really. I rewatch episodes. I don't rewatch shows.
Yeah. Or like moments. Yeah. And then I think also since it's been a while for you, we got to go back and rewatch 03 Clone Wars.
Oh yeah, I'd be down for that.
The thing is, I'll wait on that because Beyond the Dune Siege just got done with their retrospective, and if we do it soon, it will look like we are plagiarizing them, and we're not. Connor, Seth, you guys are the goats. I'm not gonna steal your thunder. We'll do that. We'll give that some time. We've got enough to cover. I think Ahsoka and Visions would be dope to do pretty soon. But
we'll workshop it.
Maybe that's a stupid idea. You let us know.
Catch us next time with another stupid idea.
Yeah, like putting Kenobi at the top of meh. I know Connor's typing right now as we speak.
Dude, I think I just got a text from Connor. He said he's on my way to kill me right now.
There's a red dot on your forehead. All right. Well, that is going to do it for part 1 of our tier list and our favorite Grogu moments. Thank you all so much.
That is it for part 1 of our favorite Grogu moments. Please leave your favorite Grogu moment in the comment section down below.
I have a phenomenal idea, but I won't say it now. Stay tuned. But yeah, check out part 2 whenever it drops. Hopefully before the end of the new year, I believe we'll have some time to do that.
Check out part 2, top 10 Grogu moments.
Shut up.
I'm not gonna forget this.
You're not. Well, I'll tell you right after the show. But yeah, follow us at Mortis FM on Instagram, and please subscribe, rate on whatever platform that you are on, whether that is YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. And again, thank you so much for the support that we've received. It means a lot to us. You can follow me at Shrades38.
You can follow me at the.cosmic.drifter on Instagram, and I also have a YouTube channel. the Cosmic Drifter, where I talk about games and stuff. It's a whole lot of fun. I got some new stuff coming the way in the new year. So, but you're here for Star Wars, so I understand. I love you anyway. Thank you everyone for bringing us to 50 subs. Can't wait to get to 100. Stay tuned for top 50 Grogu moments. Grayson, is there anything else? Is there anything else we need to say?
I think there's something that you need to say. It's in the recesses of my mind.
Well, honestly, the only thing that I can think of, may the Force be with you.
Always.